Ketegangan meningkat di Ukraina setelah Rusia memperingatkan warga dan diplomat untuk meninggalkan Kiev. Pejabat tinggi Uni Eropa Kaja Kallas mengungkap sebagian besar kedutaan Eropa tetap berada di Kiev, sementara Amerika Serikat disebut melakukan evakuasi. Ukraina membantah klaim tersebut dan menyebutnya hanya pergerakan sementara. Serangan drone besar di Starobelsk, Lugansk, menewaskan 21 orang dan melukai 63 lainnya, termasuk mahasiswa di asrama.
Of course, we are discussing also other aspects of the Middle East situation and how does it impact us and how we can cooperate together on these issues. Then we will discuss also our core interests regarding Russia. In the peace negotiations, it's not much happening right now, and we also see on the battlefield that Russia is on a back foot there. So that's why it's really the place to discuss with the foreign ministers, the core interests, the core requests that we also have for Russia, because once we we go to the table, then it should be also very clear what we are doing there, what is the substance that we want to discuss. And in our interest is that there is a long and a sustainable, long-lasting peace, and long-lasting peace, of course, has elements like accountability that we need to discuss. And then the last point on our agenda is the European security strategy, so comprehensive approach really to get the take from the member states, how they see this and how we proceed with this.
How is it relevant for the EU to already discuss having a special envoy or someone who would negotiate at the table when the EU is not sure already that it will be invited?
No, it's not the question of being invited to the table, because if you think about what Russia is interested in, lifting of the sanctions, for example, it's a European decision. So in order to actually, decide that, we also need to say that we have a very, very clear interest. Of course, all these topics that concern Ukraine, only Ukraine and Russia can negotiate and agree on. But there are many things that concern Europe. Now, I find that it's a trap that Russia wants us to walk into, that we discuss who talks to them, and they are already picking who is suitable or who is not. Let's not walk into that trap. Negotiations is always a team effort. You have good cops, you have bad cops, you have a strategy, how you go to the table. So that's why the substance is much more important than who.
What were the points of the substance? What would be the most important points to negotiate?
I put forward a paper already in February, listing, all of them that I could come up with, starting from Russia respecting actually the international agreements, where they have taken obligation not to attack their neighbors and respect their sovereignty. But of course, there are other things, for example, mirroring the concessions that have been, asked from Ukraine regarding military limitation, for example, that this should be also mirrored then to Russia if it is in this agreement. And of course there are also questions that are of wider concern. If you think about the Russian troops in countries like Georgia, Moldova, that's also in European security interest that these troops are not there and they are not meddling with elections in different countries. So of course it's a maximalist approach, but so is Russia's approach so far, presenting the maximalist claims.
Would you like the job as chief negotiator?
France and Italy have called for discussion on sanctions against Israeli Minister Ben-Gvir after the discussion around the treatment of those activists on the flotilla. How do you view that request? I mean, you've put those sanctions on the table already months ago.
Yes, exactly. No, those sanctions have been on the table already months ago, and we have other, proposals also on the table. Today, I don't expect that we are going to go into deep with the discussions on those, because we also have guests. But clearly, in the June UCO, that is in the June FAC, that is already coming up quite soon, we will discuss that. And of course, there is a lot of pressure also from the member states who so far have been objecting to sanctioning ministers.
Are Would you like the job as chief negotiator?
Again, this is a trap that we should not walk into. I mean, I'm the High Representative of the European Union, and you can, read my job description in the treaties. And of course, that is also representing Europe. But for that, we need to be united, and that's, I think, a very, very important message, that we need to work together as Europe, not individual members separately, because individually we are all much, much weaker than we are all together.
Russia was threatening again Europe and Kiev, saying also that diplomatic persons should leave Kiev. How do you characterize this threat? Is it like should you fear, or is it?
Well, this is what Russia does, because he's not really gaining ground on the battlefield. So what they are doing now is really increasing the terrorist attacks, because you can't really describe it in other ways. Creating fear inside the society. It hasn't worked for 4 years, but I don't think that it's going to work now. Also, what we heard from Ukraine yesterday was that all the embassies stayed except one. So that also takes courage from those embassies. But yes, all the European states, America left.
Hi, Brett. The situation between America and Iran seems to be spiraling again at this moment with the pattern attacks. Do you think we're headed back to all-out conflict between the two sides?
Well, what we hear from the regional partners is that they are very close to the deal, really, but we have heard that for quite some time already, and of course we were expecting the signature to this first agreement, because let's be clear, first agreement is to stop the war and open the Strait of Hormuz, and then negotiate on the difficult tasks like the nuclear, and there actually Europe can also contribute, as we have the experts. But as I say, they are right now in between, this very dangerous zone of war and peace, and it is not in anybody's interest that this war continues. Okay, we'll see you at the press conference. Thank you. Well, the Hungarian representatives are in Brussels today, discussing also the different issues. So hopefully they also give us good news about moving on with opening the clusters. Well, the people in Brussels are working, so I hope we have some good news, but, you never know. Thank you.
What do you think of this idea of associate membership that Germany has in Ukraine?
Well, it is clear that the idea behind this is very good. The idea behind this is that we need to move faster with Ukraine. They have to be in the European Union because of, they are also bringing the security knowledge and strengths to European table. But of course, these processes take time. So the idea behind this is how can we move faster in different stages. But it is not that we are going to discuss this today. Thank you very much.
Jelajahi cara baru mendapatkan informasi. Download MetroTV Extend sekarang.